My name is Angel Dubé, and today I'll be giving an informative speech over systematic racism in the U.S. today. What is the true meaning of liberty and justice for all? My cousin was arrested a few years ago over the possession of marijuana, which was not his. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison on his first count and was able to have parole after 1 year. We all have at least engaged with one person of color in our lives, whether that is at the grocery store, at church, or at school. Every one of those people of color deserve a chance in this country. People of color today are still facing the threats of systematic racism, which greatly discriminates against them, especially in the legal system. Today I'll be talking to you about what systematic racism is, the trial of George Zimmerman, and the overall effects of systematic racism for the community of people of color today. What is systematic racism? Systematic racism stems from the oppression and discrimination of people of color, whether that is education, wealth, employment, and the number of people being incarcerated. People of color, majority being African Americans, have faced incarcerations at a higher rate in America than white people. It is not a secret that people of color have a higher chance of being charged with harsher sentences than opposed to while a white person commits the same crime. According to the Sentencing Project, out of the people of color youth, African Americans are 4.1 times more likely to be incarcerated. Hispanics are 1.5 times more likely to be incarcerated, and American Indians are 3.1 times more likely to be incarcerated for the same crime that a white person had been acquitted from. All these numbers are real. All of these numbers are people, and all of them have stories behind them. One main one is the story of Trayvon Martin. He was a 17-year-old boy walking down on the sidewalk in his father's neighborhood in Florida when George Zimmerman, who was 28 at the time, who was also a watchman in the neighborhood, had shot him down, claiming it was self-defense. He felt his life was threatened by a 17-year-old boy who was just out for a walk. July 13th of 2013, Zimmerman was found not guilty of first-degree murder, not guilty of manslaughter, and was acquitted of all charges. Trayvon did not get the justice he deserved. And Trayvon is one of many others who haven't been able to get the justice that they deserve because of the system. Systematic racism is a deep-rooted fear in the communities of people of color. The death of Trayvon Martin was the first spark to the Black Lives Matter movements across the country. The movements were organized to promote nonviolent protests for the hundreds of years of systematic racism and police brutality against Black people and people of color. People of all races, origins, religions, and genders came together to fight the systematic racism. Even people around the world began to protest the police brutality against people of color. In conclusion, systematic racism is very much prevalent and real in this country. There are statistics to prove it, such as statistics and real stories to prove it, such as Trayvon Martin's story. The deep-rooted anger across the states show the effects of this systematic racism. If we come together as a whole and fight the disease, we can all have liberty and justice for all.